Hello and welcome everyone. I'm waiting for 5 more minutes so that all of the students can join. Let's just wait for 5 more minutes and then I'll start today's session. I'm waiting for 10 minutes so that all students can join and then we will start. Meanwhile, can you please let me know if I am audible and visible to all of you? Please let me know if I'm audible and visible to everyone. Great. Okay, so hello everyone. I welcome you all in the CCA's uh, past papers practice session. Before starting today's session, I would want at least 2 to 3 students to please let me know if I am audible to every one of you so that I can start my today's session. I'm audible. I hope so that I'm audible and I'm visible to all of you. Okay, so the most important thing now I am announcing after this grand revision session. Now there are two things that for this attempt I have announced. Basically, the first model was that we went for through the past paper question. We went through two different past paper questions. And the second model that I'm going to announce that is in front of your screen is the strategic business leader 5 days grand workshop. Now, this grand workshop will be starting from Wednesday, coming Wednesday, that is 24th till 28th of November 2021. And the timing of this workshop will be according to Pakistan Standard Time, that is from 6:30 to 10 p.m. In this workshop, what we will do, we are going to revise the entire syllabus within 5 days. Number one. Number two, we are going to go through the drafting practice of on the CB platform. Obviously, when we are going to go through the drafting practice on the CB platform, this will include some of the past papers to be done within the classes. And lastly, there will be two mock exams and obviously extensive practice of the new topics. The new topics, by new topics, I mean the topics that were uploaded in the September 2021 attempt. Although I have given a recorded lecture of those topics to you all, but I hope so that you all would want to have some practice question on those topics as well. So this is how we are going to start the 5 days revision workshop. Now, this revision workshop is for online students as well as for the face-to-face students. I'll keep this workshop from the platform of Tabani School of Accountancy, PCHS campus. Those who are interested to take the face-to-face workshop, they can visit the campus and they get themselves registered. And those who want to take this workshop for online, they can also visit the our administration. So this is how things are going to work, right? Now, let's just quickly begin today's class. Basically, today's agenda is the BCO question. That is a recent question that we have encountered, that we have seen. And this particular question relates to December 2021 attempt. So I would want you all, I hope so, that you all must have gone through this question. The investment for the 5 days workshop will be a very nominal amount. We'll let you know. Our administration is going to inform you about the agenda as well as the investment for this workshop. But it will be a very nominal amount in Pakistan rupees. So this is how the things are going to work. Now, you know how extensively I cover up all the topics. You know it very well that how, what models do we operate when we talk about the workshop. And this is obviously for the sake of benefiting the environment and for the sake of benefiting the individuals who are around us. So this workshop is only conducted just for the sake so that my students that are already the part of my regular students, they also get facilitated along with the students whom have taken regular classes from anywhere else, or they are lacking in some practice material. So this workshop is going to facilitate those students specifically. But rest assured, this workshop is going to be a grand one. And in this workshop, I'll try to make as much possibilities of making you guys write and revise as I can. So this is how things are going to work. Okay, so before moving into today's session, I would want to ask, is there any question from the previous session or any generic question that you guys would want to ask me right now? Till the time there are still some students who are joining. Yes, please. Is there any question that you would want to ask, or should we directly start? Okay, so I hope so there is no question. And let's just now quickly start today's class. Basically, before starting today's class, I would want to revise some of a few of the topics that relates to the BCO company question. You all must be very well aware of. Okay, so one more thing. Am I audible to everyone? I hope so. I'm audible to every one of you. If you feel any distortion in between, if you feel any distortion in between, please let me know so that I can handle it accordingly. Okay. So let's just wait for them. Let me just give you 2 more minutes and then we'll start. Just wait for 2 more minutes because there are students who want to join. Okay, so let's start now. Historically, we have seen the BCO company's question. Now, the BCO company question basically relates to some of the most interesting, or I consider it to be a very interesting topic of all times. Why am I considering it to be an interesting topic? Is because this question particularly relates to the. It's one of those questions which had very few pages to be read. Now, this means that this question was something that was an easy one. I'm not saying it's an easy question, but yes, I can say that this is an easy peasy question to read. This is an easy question to read during your examination, and obviously, a question containing only 11 pages, and that too having a financial data means that this is a particular type of question in which the exam students would have taken around 30 to 40 minutes for an entire visionary objective. So this is how the things are going to work. So let's just have some quick revision of a few topics before I start my today's paper. I'll be revising some of the most important topic that may be tested in the BCO company's question. Now, the first topic that relates to is the agency relationship. What do you understand by the word agency relationship? If you want, you can write, although I will be providing this presentation slide to you all. Agency relationship. in a charity sector. Now, what do you mean by agency relationship in a charity sector? Can anyone identify? Can anyone explain this word? Explain this particular line. What do I mean when I say agency relationship in a charity organization? Can anyone explain, please? Yes, please. How can the agency relationship in a charity organization, line of reporting, okay, relationship with the donors, okay, this means that the agency relationship with the donors of the company, okay, perfect. So agency relationship in a not-for-profit organization or agency relationship in a charitable organization. This means that who is the agent or who have the economic control of the charitable organization. So let me, yes, please. Working in the best interest for the donors, a trustee relationship with the donors. Okay, so this means the trustee relationship with the donors. So let me tell you what basically is the agency theory or agency relationship when we say that the not-for-profit organization work. So agency normally assumes that the owners and the managers of the company have different interest. Right? This is the assumption of the agency that is basically seen when that is basically seen when we say that there is an agency relationship within an organization. So now the question over here arises that who is the principal when I talk about a not-for-profit organization? Yes, can anyone explain who is the principal in when I say that the not-for-profit organization is basically working? Who is the principal in a not-for-profit or an agency relationship organization? Very true. Very true. Principals are the donor or the society. Yes. So in an agency relationship, the principal are the donor of the company, and who is the agent of the not-for-profit organization's agency relationship? Obviously, the agents are the management or the board of trustees. Okay, so this is the agency relationship that goes without saying in a not-for-profit organization, right? Now, this is how the things are going to work. But the fact is that in agency relationship within the not-for-profit organization, the people within whom for whom we are working, they are basically assuming that you are going to give a philanthropist viewpoint to those individuals. So my viewpoint over here is that the donors are basically, sorry for the color, it's not the appropriate one. So my viewpoint is that the donors are basically those individuals who are going to invest their money and they want to have agent have more. Can an agent have more principles? Yes, an agent can have more principles as well. If the agency's interest is in the hand of two or three type of people, then yes, even the government can also be the part of principle. If the government is investing within the company and there is a donor organization that is also investing within the company, this means that in that scenario, there will be two different principles working for the society. And then again, we have the board of trustees who are going to work for the benefit of the society. That is, they are going to work for the beneficial situation of the entire society. Now, this is how the agency relationship basically work. Now, the fact is, let's move to the second topic. I just wanted to give you a quick revision of what an agency relationship is particularly all about when I talk in a charitable organization. Okay, so remember, every single organization, when they want to assess their performance, when they want to go for the assessment of performance, there is a measure in which the performance of an organization is being assessed on annual basis, and the factors that they are going to assess their performance on the basis of some critical success factors, and the measurement, what do you call, the measurement basis of their performance assessment will be the key performance indicators. So this is how the entire assessment process of an organization is going to occur. Key performance indicators will be the areas where the assessment criteria are being met. For example, in an airline industry, the critical success factor of an airline industry is, yes, I'm dictating. CSF means critical success factor. Let me write this for you all. Critical success factors. And KPI means key performance indicators. So the first thing is that how do you evaluate the performance of a company? By using the critical success factor. For example, if I talk about the airline company, the most important factor that is for the individuals who are the customers of an airline company is the safety. So the critical success factor of an airline company will be safe flight from one destination to the other. But this particular safety measures is going to be measured according to the historic data. For example, there is an airline with the name of Emirates. How many flights had an accident within the Emirates historic, let's suppose 10 years history? And if there is, let's suppose if I say 0.01% of the flights had an accident or met an accident in the last 10 years, this means that the safety measures, the safety key performance indicator of Emirate industry is quite sustainable. But now, as the question of BCO company relates to the charitable organization, I would want you all to answer what could have been a critical success factor, what could have been a critical success factor for the charitable organization. Please let me know. What is an critical success factor for a charitable organization? Yes, please. Can anyone answer me right now? Funds availability. Yes, no. Critical success factor for a charitable organization could have been, critical success factor of a charitable organization could have been how many affectees have been treated, or or I can say what areas of work is the organization facilitating right now. What areas of work is the organization facilitating? Yes, 3 E's, very true. What areas of work is the organization facilitating right now, or CSR activity? Now, let's suppose their target was that we are going to work in 3 different ambit. The target was that they are going to work in providing homes, and they're going to work in providing hospitals to treat patients. And lastly, they are going to work for providing food. The target was that 40% of the amount will be invested in this regard. The target was that 30% of the amount will be invested in this, and the remaining amount, obviously, 30% will be invested in this. And the target donation that they could have received if they would have been a good philanthropist organization was around $10 million. Now, the fact is, by the end of 2021, the actual result showed that they only achieved $9 million donation, and they deviated their target to some extent because it was COVID time period. So they had to provide hospitals. More importantly, this means that they have performed well in the hospital industry, and they had to provide food, more importantly, because COVID basically took off jobs of people. But however, they were very lenient in providing houses, plus they had some constraint in regard with the financials as well. So this is how the key performance indicator as well as the critical success factor of different industries of a charitable organization basically works. This is how the charitable organization's key performance indicator basically have an objective. Okay, do you get this? Yes, please. Are you getting what I'm trying to explain, please? Okay, so let's move forward. Now, the third area that could have been tested in BCO company question is the types of operating or the type of operating or board structure. Right? The type of operating or board structure. Now, basically, when I say about the type, when I talk about the type of operating or board structure, there are generically two types of board structures that are operating within an environment. Number one, we have unitary tier, and we have two tier structure. So I hope so. I've written the correct spelling of tier, but this means that there are two types of structures. That is the unitary tier structure and the two tier structure. Now, can anyone explain what do I mean by when I say the unitary tier structure, or what do I mean when I say two tier structure? And what is the basic difference between the unitary tier structure and the two tier structure of a particular company? Yes, please. See, unless you guys don't participate, we will not be able to have good discussion. And before discussing the entire paper, it is not easy to solve the BCO or any other particular past paper question. So that is the reason I'm discussing each and everything with you all, so that you can have a very clear insight of what the paper can ask you in this regard. Two tier means two bosses, two board. All EDs and NEDs work in the same board. Okay, all EDs and NEDs are working in the same board. Two tier means two board. True to some extent, but the major difference between the two tier board and the single tier board is that the two tier board basically operates in the format of having a supervisory and a management board. So let me draw the two tier board in front of you to give you a clear cut viewpoint of what two tier and single tier board basically. Just give me a minute. Okay, so single tier board will have unitary tier board is normally the board that you will see in your normal day-to-day life, and individuals basically know about the single or unitary tier board all around. So normally the companies that we see or around us are operating under the heading of unitary or single tier board. So what do I understand by the word single tier board? Single tier board means that there are two types of board, same in the unitary board and the two boards, two tier board. In two tier board, executive directors participate in the strategic decision. Yes, in two tier board, we have the head of the board as chairman, and both these board operates simultaneously. Both these board basically sorry, unitary tier board, we have the head as the chairman, and under him we have two types of people working, that is the executive director and the non-executive director. And both the executive and the non-executive director, they are both working with an objective of providing benefit to the society. So this means that they both have voting powers, voting rights in hiring the individuals as well as in taking decision making. They are both involved in decision making. They're both involved in decision making. They are both involved in, let's suppose, decision making and having the voting rights for the company and the operational direction of the company. And obviously, the two single tier board will have some board committees as well. But in two tier board, we have two different categories of board. The first category of board is known as supervisory board, and the second category of the board is regarded as management board. Now, the supervisory board consists of the head of supervisory board is the chairman or chairperson, and the head of management board is CEO of the company. Now, the chairman or the chairperson is the head of supervisory board, and he is basically working in order to supervise the management board. The chairman of the company, that is the head of supervisory board, will have a team member of non-executive directors, and these non-executive directors are not only going to supervise, but they are also going to draft some strategies. They will also have the most important thing, they will also have the voting power only. They are the individuals who will be having the voting power. No one else is going to have this voting power. These are the individuals who will be, or the voting power will be vesting in the hands of these individuals. So they will perform three different things. They are going to supervise the management board, they are going to draft strategies for the management board, and they are going to have some voting power. That is that they're going to be involved in the decision making capability or capacity under the heading of supervisory board. And the management board, this particular board will be working under the head or leadership of CEO, and they will be having all the executive directors. These management board will be performing two different things. That is, they are going to be indulging themselves in the operations of the company. They are going to be indulging themselves in the operations of the company, as well as they will have no voting power. They will have no voting power. So my question over here arises, what do you think? What do you think is the most appropriate board when I talk about the charitable organization? What do you think is the most appropriate type of board that should be made part of a charitable business? Yes, please. Very true. very true. The two-tier board is going to work perfect when it comes to the managerial side of the board. Very true. Two-tier board should be made part of the philanthropist or let's suppose an organization that is working for the benefit of the society as a whole. Okay, and now one more thing. Let me just quickly go through the requirement. It says, okay, so the question have two-tier board. The question is about the stakeholders, and the question will also include the environmental analysis. Obviously, when I talk about the environmental analysis, we have got the pestle model, political, economical, social, technological, ecological, and legal factors. Now, this is the pestle model that can be applied if you are being asked with the external environmental analysis, or there is another model that is known as SWOT model. In this SWOT model, the strength and weakness regards to the internal factor, the strength and weakness regards to the internal factor, and the opportunity and threat regards to the external factors. Now, these are the two factors that are basically working in front of you. Then there can also be a question that relates to the financial knowledge. Remember one thing, I'm repeating it again and again. I have repeated this with my regular students for around thousands of times, but I want to repeat it once again. Whenever there is an evaluation, whenever there is an evaluation of business strategy that relates to growth. Whenever there is an evaluation of business strategy that relates to growth, remember one thing, keep this thing in your mind right now. Growth can be two different types. Number one is the growth factor that relates to a growth factor that relates to internal growth, which means diversification. And the other factor, or obviously organic growth. Obviously, when I say about internal growth, it means diversification or organic growth. And the other factor about growth is that you can go for an acquisition strategy. You can acquisition or merger strategy. Now, acquisition and merger strategy is when you are acquiring another company. When you are acquiring another company. Now, the question have asked several times, and this is one of the most favorite questions of the strategic business leadership examiner. That is, he wants you all to apply a suitable model. And whenever he's saying to apply a suitable model, my gist always goes around the model of suitability, feasibility, and acceptability. Suitability, feasibility, and obviously, last but not the least, the acceptability, which means SFA model. Now, the factors, which means SFA model, obviously. Now, the fact is that whenever I'm applying the SFA model, if the growth is internal, then you have to check if you are going for a particular proposal to have an internal growth or not. I mean, by internal growth, I mean that you want to enlarge the size of your business by investing into something new within your business, by investing or bringing into some new machineries within your business. Now, this means that internal growth will be evaluated on the terms of financials, which means something which is your strength or weakness. When I say that, do you have those financials or not to have an internal growth, or your historic results basically state something that goes with this model of applying for internal growth, or that goes contrary to the model of applying, not going for the internal growth. This means that whenever you are going for the financial analysis, if you want to have a clear cut picture, that is a black and white picture, you are going for the internal growth or not. For this purpose, the financial evaluation should be done under the heading of, can anyone explain? Can anyone guess under the heading of? Under which heading am I going to go through the financial analysis of the internal growth? Yes, please. All my regular students. Very good. You are going to evaluate the financials under the heading of feasibility. You are going to evaluate the analysis under the heading of feasibility. Why am I saying that you're going to evaluate under the heading of feasibility? Because feasibility means that, is it feasible to invest in option A of increasing your business size or buying a new machinery? Will it be something that goes good for our business, or will it be something that goes bad for our business? But if the growth relates to some acquisition or merger, this means that in this case you will be given with some financials of potential company, or the company that you are going to acquire. Now you will be given the financial of the potential company, that is the company that you are about to acquire, the company that you are about to take over. This particular financial will be evaluated under the heading of acceptability. This means that a return on capital employed, this means that return on capital employed, if it relates to your company, will be tested, will be regarded, or will be concluded under the heading of feasibility if it is your internal growth, and return on capital employed, if it relates to the external acquisition, will be dealt under the heading of acceptability. I hope so. I have made my point very clear to you all. Why? Because is it acceptable to invest into this company or not? The simple logic goes, why am I keeping this under this head, under this particular heading, is because is it acceptable to put this particular model or go for this acquisition strategy or not? Is it clear to every one of you? Yes, please. I need some responses from you all so that I can have a motivation that, okay, now things are getting clear to my students, and I can quickly move towards the uh, question. Then what will be written under the acceptability of internal growth? Okay, under acceptability of internal growth, it will be the shareholders' acceptability. It will be how convincingly you are going to let your shareholders know that you are having an internal growth, and the shareholders should be convinced in terms of that we will go for a reinvestment of your profits. We are going to go for a reinvestment of your profit. We will not be providing you dividends on your profit. So please, we need support right now, and if you are going to support us, this is not only going to help you in getting good results in your future, but this will be regarded as your investment. So you're going to let the shareholders or the company owners know under the area of acceptability that, okay, now this is the model that we are going to go, and we do not have much finance, we want to increase our business size, we want to increase our business growth, so let's do this. We will not be providing you any profit, or we will be providing you lower amount of dividends. Clear to everyone? Should I move forward? I'm trying to go as deep into this question or into this particular paper as I can. Okay, so I hope so that I have gone through all the requirement areas of most important part for the purpose of this particular BCO company's examination point of view. So now let me just quickly go through the reading element of this question, and then the ball will go in your court. You guys are going to write the answer, or you guys are going to write the answer of this question, and then we'll be moving forward. So let me show you. Is it clear to everyone? Am I audible and very much clear to all of you? Please let me know. Yes, please. Is it clear to every one of you? Okay, so I guess it is good to go. Let's move forward. Now the question is of September, December 2020. This question is a sample question. Obviously, same old documented requirement. Let me just quickly go through this question. It's a very small question which constitutes only 11 pages, and a question that can be easily dealt. And I consider this question to be one of the easiest questions in the SBL examination. Considering highlight, this is a bit easier question as compared to the highlight question. So this is how the thing works. Okay, so let's move forward. Let's go quickly. The Bloom Conservation Organization. The Bloom Conservation. I'm using my highlighter along so that I can highlight some areas. So the name of the question is Bloom Conservation Organization. Is a not-for-profit charitable organization set up to protect endangered wildlife. So this means that their work is to protect the endangered wildlife around the world. It was founded around 50 years ago by DB, a wealthy entrepreneur with a passion for wildlife protection. So who is the principal? Who is the person who is investing? Obviously, Dana Bloom is the principal who is investing, and he's a wealthy entrepreneur, and who are going to be affected or who will get the ultimate benefit, that is the wildlife. She set up the BCO Wildlife Park in her home country of Geeland, and since it was founded, the wildlife park has provided intensive hands-on management of some of the world's most threatened animal in the wildlife park. Animal breed and increase in the number while the keepers and wildlife experts study them to learn more about what they need to thrive in the wild again. Before releasing them, the BCO also operates 20 in the field animal protection program, that is animal wildlife and management activity occurring in the animal's natural habitat in 15 countries worldwide. Okay, so the BCO company is also going for such an objective. Yes, great to know. Then it says the BCO company the BCO company employs a team of locally based wildlife experts and volunteers to manage and protect some of the most endangered animal in the world. Much of the BCO income comes from donation. Much of the BCO income comes from donation from corporate donors. This means that there are two different people investing in BCO company. It says that there are some corporate donors as well who are going to invest within the company. The BCO also generate income from legacies, which are donations left when people die. Okay, so this means that they are also getting donations when people die. Greenland, as with many other developed economies around the world, have suffered from an economic recession for several years, and many charitable organizations have struggled to survive in such difficult economic times. However, the BCO has managed to maintain its position as a world-leading charity in wildlife protection by implementing programs of cost-cutting, rationalization, and more targeted and active promotion of its activity. The BCO has a board of trustees which oversees the management of the charity which is undertaken on a day-to-day basis by the management board. DB, who is now over 80 years old, have recently stepped down from her role as chairperson. So, okay, I thought DB is male, but fortunately it's female, right? A role as chairman, and the new chairman, Rani Jeffers, has just been appointed. RJ has a strong commercial background, having previously been the chief executive of several Gillen's leading corporation. Now, this means that now RJ is becoming RJ is becoming the chairman or the chairman of the leading organization. She have severally being operated under the heading of different cooperatives. You work as a senior finance manager. Now you have been told, now again, four model strategy. Who are you? Whom you are reporting to? What model is tested from you? And what professional marks are being asked? So these are the four things that we are going to identify in every paper. The first thing is being known to you. You are the senior finance manager of the BCO company. It is currently September 2001. The following exhibits provide information relevant to the case study. Now, I'm not reading all these exhibits. I'm just quickly moving. I'm not reading the heading of these exhibits. I'm just quickly moving towards my first exhibit. The case requirements are included in the tasks shown below. The new chairperson, RJ, has recently commenced his new role with the BCO and wants to find out as much possible about the organization. He has called a meeting with the management board and has asked for each board member to make short presentation to assist him in better understanding the BCO. The chief finance officer have been asked to present on the BCO's governance principle. Okay, this means that there might be some hint being given to you as if the governance principle relate to two-tier board or a single-tier board. So let me you are the senior finance manager. You work as a senior finance manager. That is good to know that I'm working as a senior finance manager. It seems so good that in this paper you are being given with such great responsibilities. I was reading a paper in which I was being made as the CEO of the company, and I felt so good about it. Okay, and it's financial and non-financial. So you are being given two different tasks. You have to give presentation about. Initially, it seems that there are two different tasks. You have to make presentation about the governance principle and obviously the financial and non-financial performance of the business. So financial and non-financial performance in the latest financial year. The CFO has asked you to assist him in preparing his presentation. So CFO has asked you to assist him. Prepare a briefing notes for the CFO which explains specific nature and principle. Now there are three different questions in a particular question. So you will be making one briefing note format. I'm repeating once again. You will be making one briefing note format in which you can explain part A entirely. So it says the specific nature of principal agent relationship of BCO as a charitable organization. What do you consider? How much marks should have been allocated to part number one? How much marks should have been allocated to part number one? In my consideration and in the consideration of examiner, only 3 marks were given for part one. 3 marks. 3 marks were given for part one. So you have to write your answer specifically in briefing note for part one for 3 marks. The advantages of have for BCO having two-tier board structure. Now, normally students, whenever I'm in my regular classes, they ask me, sir, why do we study all these technical part? Why do we study all this theoretical area when the paper is quite generic? See, if in this paper you would have not known what a two-tier board is, trust me on the fact, people flunked and they came out and they said, we were not aware of what two-tier board is. Now you know what two-tier board is. Now you know the advantages. Now it is so easy for you to make some advantages for two-tier board. So it's one of the most simplest questions. You have to jot down the advantages of the BCO company or the BCO organization having the two-tier board structure. How the BCO mission and strategic objective meet its key stakeholders need. Now, this is a question that if my regular students remember, I normally start with what a mission statement, a vision statement, strategic intent is to the stakeholders of the company. So this is also one of the most generic questions that is being asked. So the first part, that is 12 plus 2 marks of this question, is are very easy to attain, and most surprisingly people did a great job in achieving these parts. So professional marks are available for demonstrating commercial acumen. So you have to have a commercial, you have to have a business mind when you are demonstrating or when you are giving your ideas in this regard. So this is one of the most important and one of the most easiest questions of BCO. In fact, I can claim that this is a question that is most easiest in the history of SBL examination. These three questions, these three part of part A are one of the easiest areas. I hope so you get what I'm trying to say. Analysis analyze the financial and non-financial performance of BCO in the latest financial year of 2001, providing reasons for and implications of the result. So it says that you have to provide reasons and implications for the result. Great, good to know that we are providing reasons and implications for the result. Then it says professional marks are available for demonstrating analysis skills. So you just need to analyze the financial data. You just need to analyze the financial data. Now, what do you mean by analysis of the financial data? Now you will get clear about the analysis of financial data basic meaning. See, analysis of financial data means that now in some of the exhibits, you will be given financial statement and you are going to find out some ratio analysis, and under those ratio analysis, you are not going to write if these ratios are giving a good answer or a bad answer. You're not going to claim that, okay, now these ratios are giving some good objective, or you're not going to claim that these ratios are giving some bad objective. You are just going to write that this is the answer of the ratio analysis, not good, not bad. That will be, we will be talking in the evaluation question. So it says, analysis skills in considering the relevant information and evidence relating to BCO's financial and non-financial performance. So it seems to be a good question. Again, this entire question, number one, is relating to 30 marks in the paper. Good to know that we are being given 30 marks in the paper from question number one. Let's move forward. In the recent published, sorry, in the recent published annual financial report, the BCO set out three strategic objectives for the next 5 years. The new chairperson is keen to understand in more details how BCO external environment. It seems that pestle analysis might be applied, or it seems that opportunity and threat analysis might be required in this question. But let's see what factors do we talk about will impact the strategic objectives, and has asked the CFO to provide with this information. The CFO has asked you your assistance in preparing his report. Prepare a report for the CFO which evaluates the extent to which external environment could impact on the BCO strategic objective. Now, before moving forward, whom will the report that you are preparing address to? Can anyone explain whom will the report that you are addressing, that you are preparing, will address to? Will it be for the CFO of the company, or will it be for the new chairman of the company? Okay, so Muhammad Salim is saying CFO. Everyone is saying CFO, but the answer is not CFO. The answer is the chairman. Now, see, this is the mistake that we normally do. See, the CFO has asked you to prepare a report on his behalf. This means that he wants you to assist a report that is going to go to the chairperson of the company. So you have to write the report to the chairperson of the company, However, the CEO, CFO of the company is going to have an overview of the report. And if he feels that, okay, the report is giving a reasonable answer, he is going to provide this report to the chairperson. But you are going to address the report to the chairperson of the company and not the CFO. Do you get what I'm trying to explain? You are writing a report on behalf of CFO for the chairperson of the company. Right, guys? Great. Let's move forward. Now, these are some of the most important blunders that people normally do, right? So I just don't want you all to go through these blunders. Let's move forward. Prepare a report for the CFO which evaluates the extent to which the external environment could impact the BCO strategic objective. Professional marks are available for demonstrating evaluation. Again, you have to have an evaluation because you are giving external environment, because you are preparing a report that evaluates the external environment. So external environment in connection with the business. Is the business and the external environment connected in a good rational manner, or is it giving us something that goes against the external environment? So it says professional marks are available for demonstrating evaluation skills and objectively appraising the facts, opinions, and findings relating to the BCO's external environment. In addition to the recent investment made in updating the BCO in members database management system, the Chief Executive Officer highlighted in the annual report that the BCO is looking for further opportunities to invest in e-business technologies. The CFO has asked to make a presentation. You are about to make a presentation. You are about to make a presentation to the board of trustees, and he has asked for your assistance in preparing his presentation. So he's always asking you to assist. This means that he wants you to write the report directly to the board of trustees. Prepare three different presentation slides with accompanying notes which recommend with clear justification three application of information technology. Now, all those whom have gone through my 3-hour lectures that I have uploaded on YouTube, trust me, this paper was tested on the basis of those 3-hour lectures. Trust me over the fact that I have given my answer in those 3-hour lecture. I'll share it once again with you. Make sure that before going into your paper, you go through that lecture easily. So it says three application of information technology that the BCO could use to enhance its e-business capabilities. Professional marks are available for demonstrating communication skills in using compelling arguments. To persuade the board of trustees of potential sorry of the potential of e-business technologies for the BCO. Three presentation slides, three accompanying notes. 15 plus 4, that is 19 goddamn marks, and they're very easy. They're very easy. Trust me, when you are going to make this question, this is one of the easiest questions that you can ever come across in SBL examination. Let's move to the next part. The chairperson, extremely sorry. The chairperson has asked to meet with its chief executive officer to discuss the BCO current risk management approach. The chairperson has concern that the current risk register does not adequately evaluate the seriousness of the risk identified. So I hope so that now he wants you to prepare a question which is similar, which is a question that you must have done similar in the AA exam and as well. So it says, the chairperson has concern that the current risk register does not adequately evaluate the seriousness of the risk identified, and that some relevant risks are not covered at all. So now when we are reading the relevant exhibit, trust me, I'm going to identify some of the risks and we will try to find out the relevant risk related mitigating factors. So he's saying He is also concerned that the risk mitigating activities are inadequate in light of the recent changes and events in the external environment. The CEO disagree and thinks that the risk register and the risk mitigating activities are sufficient. CEO is of the view that they are sufficient and that the chairperson is overreacting to the BCO's latest financial result and the industry's research report. She has asked for your assistance on this matter. Prepare a confidential report which evaluates the BCO current risk register and the adequacy of each risk mitigating activity, clearly highlighting whether the chairperson concern are justified or not. So you have to find out some of the risk register, you have to evaluate the risk register. Now, how will we be doing this? I'll let you know. Professional marks are available for demonstrating skepticism skill, neither to consider a risk to be good nor to consider a risk to be bad, in questioning appropriately the opinion expressed by the chairperson and the CEO of the company. This is a question which normally is a very good question right in front of you. Now let's start reading the exhibit. No, there is another question. After Soon after you completed your report on the BCO's risk register and risk mitigating activity, you attended a meeting with the CEO and the chief financial officer. At the meeting, the CEO raised the concern that the board of trustees does not have sufficient mix of skill and diversity, and that the management board had, in the recent past, not undertaken sufficient professional development. She has requested a meeting with the chairperson to discuss the issue further. The CEO has asked for your assistance in preparing for this meeting. Prepare a briefing paper for the CEO which explain the importance of the BCO's board of trustees to have sufficient mix of skill and diversity. It's a generic question. Again, it's a generic question. This question just relates to the mix of skills and diversity. And you know the answer. The importance of continuous professional development. Now, those students who were asking me, so why are we studying such a lot of technical part? Why do we want to study such a lot of technical part? Now, this is the reason why we are studying about technical part for the BCO management board to ensure that the BCO meets its obligation to its stakeholders. Professional marks are available for demonstrating commercial acumen skill and showing awareness of the organization and wider external factors affecting the work of BCO's board of trustees and management board. So now this is how the entire four different questions basically work. You can see the last question to have less weightage. Now, out of 11 pages, 5 goddamn pages relate to just requirement. So this is an easy question to read around. Exhibit number 1, extract from the BCO's annual financial report of the BCO's mission, vision, aim, and objective. Now, those of my regular students who are right now sitting in this workshop, you guys can easily get to know why I started with making you guys realize the importance of knowing the difference between a vision statement, mission statement, and aim and strategic objective and its main activities in the last financial year. Our mission, protecting and conserving our wildlife for the future generation. Our vision, a safer, healthier world where people respect and support wildlife. Our aim is to support and increase the number of healthy and thriving wildlife communities across the world and encourage everyone to be more involved in natural environment they live. Our strategic objective. We have set out 3 clear strategic objectives for the next 5 years. These are ensure 100 threatened species are protected and returned to their natural habitat. Number 1, invest in 100 wild habitat projects across the world through providing trainings and education for local staff, volunteers, and communities. Ensure 1 million people are better connected with nature through education awareness of the natural world they live in. A review of 2001. Our financial position continues to be challenging. Operating a world class wildlife park and global animal protection program is costly. Hence, our need for a range of income stream. This year, we reluctantly raised the price of admission to the wildlife park for the first time in the 5 years. This decision was taken with a view of using the increased revenue to invest in better long term facilities and experience for our visitor. Our wildlife park facility continued to be popular, resulting in increased revenue from our on site shop and cafe. Income from legacy, this means the people who die and they donate their amount of money to such wildlife parks. Income from legacies was down on 2000, a continuing trend in the past few years, highlighting the volatile nature of reliance on legacy income. We sold one of our properties in the last year, and two more will be sold next year to fund the extension of the center, which we hope will contribute to our objective of connecting people with nature. We were also successful in securing over 2 million in grant funded donation over the next 5 years. This is significant source of income for the BCO, and we are grateful to those organizations which have awarded these grants. A huge amount, a huge amount of work over the year went into upgrading our members' database management system, which will be in place in 2000 and allow us to communicate more effectively with members and permit online fee payment. Further investment in information technology is the key to our growth. Okay, now this means that we are going for further investment model as well. That is great to know. Sorry. Communicate more effectively with our stakeholder. We will be launching a redesigned website in 2002, and I was looking for opportunity to use e-business technology more effectively in areas such as online education, digital marketing, and social media. So it says that we are going to go through social media, we are going to go through online education and digital marketing. Moving further, it is with great sadness that we have goodbye to DB last month. Our founder had been a tireless supporter of the BCO and her imagination, vision, and determination has played a vital role in making the BCO the world leading charity that it is today. She has been inspirational in creating a world where many endangered animals have been given a chance to thrive. We wish Dana a very happy and peaceful retirement. Good wishes for Dana. Exhibit number two, about us, page of the BCO's website, which sets out the leadership structure and governance of the firm. BCO leadership. Our two-tier board consists of the board of trustees and management board. By board of trustees, by board of trustees, I think it's a supervisory board, right? Board of Trustees. The governance of BCO is vested in a Board of Trustees, which has overall control of the charity and is responsible for monitoring its strategic direction and ensuring it is in line with our mission and objective. It is also responsible for monitoring the risk to which the charity is exposed through the risk Board of Trustees members. Chairperson, RJ. I have told you before that there will be only non-executive director. Main or major executive director could also be made part of the board. 61 years old, Rani joined the board in August of this year. He has a master degree in economics. He joined the BCO having had a successful and very career in the industry, where he held numerous senior managerial positions of S Food PLC. Dr. Boris Tiller, 68 years old, Dr. Tiller has been a trustee of the BCO for 12 years. He has had a lifelong passion of animal protection, having workload for many overseas animal charities throughout his career. He has a he has a doctorate in literature. So he is a doctorate in literature. Mavis Rees Beard, 73 years old. Mrs. Rees has been a trustee of the BCO for 11 years and is a lifelong friend of TB and a keen supporter for animal protection. She has a degree in finance. Sir Henry. Sir Henry has been the trustee of the BCO for 14 years and has a strong commercial background, having worked in financial service industry before retiring and taking up his position with the BCO. Miss Dr. Hardeep Khan. Miss Dr. Khan has a master's degree in animal protection science and has worked in many of the most important animal protection sites across the world. He joined the board 3 years ago. Stella Bond. Mrs. Bond had been a trustee of the BCO for 8 years and has a commercial experience of retail sales. Management board are highly experienced and dedicated management board is responsible for the day-to-day business of the BCO. Its main duties are to develop and propose. See, you can again assess its duty. Its main duties are to develop. Again, the thing that I have told you before are to develop and propose strategies to achieve our mission and objectives. Strategies to achieve our mission means that it's strategies to operate. Sir, NED should be hired from relevant company background experience, or they can be from no, they can be from any background experience. They can have any background experience, and just NEDs are just those individuals that are great to go with having some strategic decision making capability. And to measure and report on the BCO's performance. It takes a responsibility for the management and delivery of our activities, that it will take some responsibilities in this regard. So we have got chief executive. See, the head of the management board is the chief executive. You can see it very clearly. Then we have the chief executive officer. Then we have the chief financial officer, head of resource, head of fundraising, head of commercial operations, and head of animal protection. Now, this is one of the most tremendous things that my students who are right now listening to me, they know that whenever I talk about the entire board, it seems that same old classes like I'm going in front of you. A summary of the income and expenditure. Remember one thing. They are not going to draft they're not going to draft a conventional income statement. Rather, they are going to make the income and expenditure account as this is are having different business background experience which are not in line with the business. Now, this seems to be something different, but let's see. Now, let's see the answer. No, it's not necessary that they should be in line with the business. A summary of the income and expenditure of the BCO for the last two financial year 2000 and 2001, including a summary of the KPIs. Now, what are the incomes that we are generating? These are the incomes that we are generating in Wildlife Admission Park, membership fee, education program, wildlife park, shops, cafe, donation, grants and legacies, other scales and property. These are the total income. So this means the total income is 20,792 and total expenditure is very near to it. So this means that we are having some, we are going hand to mouth when it comes to income and expenditure. The number of paid staff employed wildlife park in this field, number of volunteers, key performance indicator, you can see wildlife park visitors number, wildlife park number, visitor number, income per visitor from cafe, average training days and staff member, cost per staff training day, number of external education and training program, the number of animals returned to the natural habitat. These are the key performance that I have told you will obviously relate to the critical success. Okay, so let's move forward. A recent charity sector research article detailing the main threats and opportunities, again, SWOT analysis facing charity. Now, it seems that something about external environment is to be discussed. Why charity must change? The Global Charities Institute for Research. Why charity must change? A good article, it seems to be a good article. A number of events and changes have happened in the last couple of years, which have given the managers for many charities some cause of concern. Since the global recession over a decade ago, many countries are still feeling its effect, and governments globally have been financially under pressure. This has impacted on the wider population, whose income has also been overstressed. Linked to this, in the general financial position of charity, many charities have for too long been over reliant on a small number of fundraising options. If a funding source end, the impact on the charity can be immediate and devastating. Many publicly funded grant awarding bodies and corporate supporters for charities have reluctantly had to reduce their support for the charities both financially and in terms of volunteer, as they have seen their own income reduced by the financial crisis. However, public expectations from the work done by the charities are still high, which places increased demand on all charities, and many have found themselves at risk of being unable to meet expectations. For example, many global nature and animal protection charities have seen demand for their support and protection increase dramatically as habitats around the world are being increasingly destroyed by human activity. However, year on year, these charities struggle to maintain stable fundraising levels. Some of the decreases in charitable funding has been caused by donor fatigue, as people have become overexposed to charitable requests and therefore stop donating. Some charities have been accused of hard selling their services by bombarding donors with requests by post, emails, and on the street. Charities have no doubt become more aggressive in trying to win donor support, resulting in some local authorities banning street donations to stop aggressive donor collection tactics. This also impacts badly on the general reputation and perception of the sector. More legislation is expected in the coming years to stop the use of hand sell marketing tactics used by some charities. A younger generation of donors has also been brought up in a time of austerity and is less likely to donate to charitable causes. Some charities have recognized the younger generation as a potential source of donation and have used new forms of technology such as social media platforms and mobile technology to effectively communicate and interact with the potential new sources of support. However, some charities have been slow to protect and nurture the customers and donors they already have, missing the opportunity to build better relationship with them to encourage retention through the use of e-marketing and communication strategies. A failure to innovate or update new organization system to match the need of the society we live in may be a major downfall for many charitable organizations. The BCO's latest risk register, identifying the key risks. Now, this is something which you guys need to focus upon right now, because this is something where will be providing your evaluation skills. Identifying the key risks and mitigating activities identified by the risk committee. Fundraising potential risk, fundraising pressure. Now, if there is fundraising pressure, insufficient income to cover expenditure, a reputational risk of campaign or methods used to raise funds, risk mitigating factor, implement appropriate cost budgeting procedures, monitor the adequacy of financial returns achieved, benchmarking comparison. Do you think that this even relates to fundraising pressure? Report fundraising activity to stakeholders in annual financial reports. And these are the impacts. So now you have to decide if they are good to go with, or you should change some of them. Right? Loss of key staff, experience and potential impact, experience or skill loss, operational impact, and key animal protection program. Succession plan, agree notice period, and handle. Do you even think that you should agree on the notice period when you are losing staff? Rather than retention policy, rather than making some retention policy, do you agree with this question? Yes or no? Do you agree with this risk mitigating factor? What do you think? What should be the answer of loss of key staff? Agreeing notice period and handovers? Review recruitment policies and protections? What do you think? Yes, guys. Come on, I need your answer. No. Yes, obviously, this should not be the mitigating factor of this. Increased competition in the sector, loss of reduced public profile. If there is increased competition, monitor method of service delivery. If there is increased competition, you need to monitor the method of service delivery, monitor public awareness and profile. Obviously, public is completely aware. Need to see why people are leaving. Public is completely aware that is the reason that the competition in the non-profit organizations is increasing. So why would you increase the public awareness? They already know you. They already know different types of charitable organizations operating in dangerous location around the world. Staff volunteers injured or killed, carrying out their responsibility, monitor and review the activities in recognized dangerous location and procedures to remove staff at short notice. Oh my God. If they get injured, remove them on short notice. Come on, is this a risk mitigating factor? Closely work with the local security and safety service. Regulatory. So it does not seem that the risk mitigating factors are quite good enough. The risk committee is chaired by BCO's chairperson and two other board of trustee members. The committee meets once in a year to review the risk register and the activities being undertaken by the BCO to monitor the and manage. A news on the article, a news article on the recent bad publicity surrounding leadership issue in the charity sector. The Lane time. As charity leader out of touch. Are charity leaders out of touch? Charities under increasing pressure to improve sector. By Greece Flynn, charity analyst. Now let me read this out for you. This is, I guess, the last exhibit that is being presented to us, and then we'll be moving towards the answer of this BCO question. So let's see. Research for the Gillen Charity Commission has found that people are increasingly concerned about how charities spend their money and how they are managed and led. The main reason given for trusting charities less cited by less cited by over one-third of the people questioned was negative media coverage. Stories to have hit the headline since the last survey include the collapse of two major health charities, in allegation of financial mismanagement, and the general perception that some charities are run more like clubs for old school friends, with boards of trustees being out of touch and unskilled for the modern world in which they operate. Some of the major problems of the charity in the recent time have been poor strategic direction, driven largely by charities being led and managed by the board, which seems to lack awareness of the changing world they would now operate. Many charities seemingly lack direction, strategy, and forward planning, with issues being addressed piecemeal with limited strategic reference. Some of the blame for this has been laid firmly at the doors of the trustee. Those people tasked with setting the charity's strategic direction in the modern world, where charities are facing similar commercial pressure or to profit making organizations. The question is whether the charities can be run effectively by trustees with no commercial background and with limited understanding of charity of strategy formulation. In a presentation to Dean and Charity Leader this week, the Charity Commission Chairman. So the Charity Commission is the official organization that basically works under the European Union and that see that if the charities are working relevantly or not. Leif Morton said that the decline of the charity sector was a wake-up call for everyone who runs a charity. He said poor fundraising practice, poor management, and weak, out of touch leadership have all combined to reduce public confidence in the charity sector. Morton said the public wants to see charities account better for how they spend their money and that charities are making positive difference to their causes. However, the damage done to the sector by these examples of bad practices must be balanced by a vast amount of commitment and hard work put in most charities. So this is a very small paper that is being given by your examiner. Now, what I want from you all is, let me open my camera. Now, what I want from you guys is that you guys need to start writing at least pointers for all these questions. You have to write pointers for all these questions. Right now in Pakistan, it is 10:57, and I am giving you around 40 minutes. I'm giving you around 40 minutes to write out main point. Again, go through this paper thoroughly, start writing some of the points, and after 40 minutes, I'm going to show you my answer for this paper. Is there any question till now? Is there any question that you guys would want to ask me right now? Okay. Anyone else? Any specific question from relating this paper? Yes, please. No question at all. I hope so. You all are enjoying this workshop. I've kept this workshop specifically for you so that we will, have a better objective of clearing this exam. So, okay. So now for next 40 minutes, I'm going to keep my mouth. I'm not going to talk, and you guys are going to write, and I'm also going to write my answer. And then after those 40 minutes, I'm going to meet you guys once again. You guys will be staying online. No need to go anywhere. Just start writing the answer of this question, and then we'll be meeting back after 40 minutes. So start writing right now. No one is going to go away, and no one is going to leave the questions unanswered. At least try writing so that I can have better practice. See, I'm not sitting in front of you, and this is not a face-to-face class. So I just want you all to write your answer so that you'll be able to get when I'm showing my answer, you can relate your answer to mine. Right? Let's start now. Okay, so are you all done, or you need some extra time right now? Are you all done, or you need some time? Yes, please. Guys, are you done, or you need some time? I've written down some pointers. Do you need some extra time, 6 minutes more, or should we discuss? I guess some of the students are still writing. So let's wait for 2 more minutes. Let me give you 3 more minutes, and then we'll discuss. Okay, so let's discuss now. Now, rather than writing answer, now I'm showing in front of you the report for this exam, because this will help you in getting your answer. I'll share my answer with you all. I have written question number one, complete answer. So I'll share my answer, but over here I would want you all to kindly concentrate on the report, because this report is one of the best written reports of all the SBL past papers. So I would request you all to kindly go through this report. I will share the report as well, but let's just quickly go through the report that I have shown in front of you, so that you can have a greater insight. Okay, so the general comments. I hope so. You are all with me right now. The examiner report should be used in conjunction, and that is something different. Format of the exam. The exam consisted of, okay, we know about the format. Exam performance overall. The standard of candidate answer was good, and the demonstration of the professional skill continued to improve. However, please see comment below relating to specifics to CB script. Stronger candidate integrated and used information from the case study material throughout their answer. By the word information of using the case study material means that using the word BCO and using the relevant information that is being given to you. So it says selecting relevant technical knowledge to support the applied point they were making. And they demonstrated professional skill through analysis, evaluation, and sound commercial awareness, and through how they structured and presented the answer. Weaker candidate often use pre-learned knowledge as the basis for most of their answers and did not adequately integrate or apply the case material to the BCO. It was apparent that some candidate had not used the assimilated the guidance produced by the strategic business leadership, including now this is something different. It is especially important that the candidate spend sufficient time reading and assimilating the information within the exhibit which make up the case study material. Often answers fail to make sufficient reference to the exhibit or fail to make the use of the full range of the material in the exhibit. For example, exhibit number two, extract from the BCO's annual report mentions several potential e-business technologies. However, many candidates ignored these when answering question 2B. Now, this is the specific comment which I would want you all to listen right now, which asks for the application of the appropriate e-business technologies for the BCO. Exhibit number two also provided useful background information to assist candidate in answering question 1B, question 2A. Although this was not well used in some answers. The exhibit provided material for the okay, so candidates should read the exhibit while keeping the requirement of each question in mind, as this will help them to identify which task will be drawing on the material of each exhibit. As stated above, exhibit 2 provided information that was relevant. Now, this is the thing that I have insisted many times in my first session, and I'll keep on insisting again and again in my workshop as well. So it says exhibit number 2 provided information that was relevant throughout the exam. There are certain exhibits that are going to be relevant throughout the exam, and there are certain exhibits that will go one on one with the requirement. I'll show you. As stated above, Exhibit 2 provided information that was relevant throughout the exam. Candidates should also be alert for links between different exhibits, reinforcing or contrasting significant issues. For example, the reduction in the income from legacies referred in Exhibit 2 was reinforced by information presented in the summary of the BCO's financial activity. In Exhibit number 4 and in Exhibit presented a research report in Exhibit number 5. However, candidate must remember that merely producing material, now this is a myth that majority of students fail. Normally what students do, they do copy pasting, copy pasting, copy pasting. I disagree with the fact that we are going for the copy pasting. Look what he's trying to say. However, candidates must remember that they merely producing material from the exhibit without commenting on it and developing point will not, this is not my viewpoint, this is the viewpoint presented by the examiner himself, will not score mark in particular. A number of candidates taking the exam on computer cut and pasted material from, I'm repeating it again, cut and pasted material from the exhibit into their answer without adding anything to it. This happened particularly when the candidate were asked to consider the impact of the external environment and achievement of the BCO strategic objectives. Several candidates merely copy pasted the list of strategic objectives from Exhibit 2, but then failed to refer these in their answers. Similarly, many candidates merely rewrote information from the BCO's risk register detail in Exhibit 6 when answering question 3 without attempting to identify weakness to make suggestion for the improvement to the current risk. Now, I have made my point clear. In my last session, I insisted on the fact that you should not merely only go for copy pasting. This is a blunder that many students are doing right now. This is a blunder that many students fail to understand, but they go for it. See, mere copy pasting is something which is, which is not the requirement of the question. In order to get the best out of it, you need to write something that is not just copy pasting, but something that goes above it, right? Just a minute. Candidates must also spend time on planning to ensure that their answer is structured. Now, this is important. Structured logically, balance in terms of the depth on the discussion required with the breadth of point to be made. Covering, I'll share my answer. Don't worry, I'll share my answer. Covering the most important point, not padded out with material that does not address the task requirement, as this scores no mark. Not making the same point two or more times, not overlapping. It was noticeable that most candidates answered all four tasks, and there were no real indication that they had run out of time. So this paper was something that was not run out of time or stamina on this examination. This is encouraging and suggests that the candidates are improving their time. This means that previously they have faced such situation where candidates were not able to complete their task. Improving their time management skill. As in the previous report, candidates are still strongly recommended to take mock exam. This is the photo of my workshop. I'll show you. I'll show you what my workshop basically constitute. To take mock exam under full exam condition before the actual exam, to get use of the demands on concentration, thinking, and writing that 4-hour exam requirement. In most cases, candidate answer the question in order. Where they did not, they appeared to be leaving one question, which they liked least until the end, although this examination did not follow the timeline and therefore candidates should not have been disadvantaged by answering questions out of sequence. It is recommended that candidate answer the requirement in order. Further exam may follow a timeline or have a question requirement that progress in other ways. It's just the recommendation. Still, you can, do the best question first. Candidate also need to be aware of how time can be poorly used in this exam. Wasting time by including material that was not relevant in the task requirement was a common weakness seen in the several tasks in sitting. In addition, although planning is strongly recommended, some candidate wrote elaborate and lengthy plans and wasted time in making some point twice or more silent or more slightly different ways. Markers will not give additional points on these. Candidates must remember, apart from wasting valuable each time, this approach can also be providing an adverse effect on the professional life. Those candidates who failed this exam did so because of, now this is important, lack of analysis skills demonstrated through an inability to select and then appropriately use the relevant information to ask the task required. Not explaining why the point is being made were important. Lack of commercial skills. Failure to respond to the requirement in a professional, commercially sound manner. A poor level of technical knowledge. Wasting time making irrelevant points. Failure to provide everything that the requirement specified. It was also evident that some candidate had simply not read the question requirement carefully enough and therefore failed to answer the question that had been said. This is very disappointing. Obviously, it is disappointing for an examiner. Technical marks. To gain each technical mark, candidate needed to make point that addresses the requirement of the task. Again, apply the BCO and its environment presented in the case material were specific to the decision and situation covered. Showed the marker why the point is being made was significant in the circumstances described. Now, important one. Up to 2 marks were often offered for a well-developed point. 1.2 marks. 1 point. Now, this I will be explaining in my workshop as well. 1.2 marks. One valid point will give you 2 marks. However, candidates are reminded that this will only occur when the candidate has successfully identified, explained a relevant point, and has correctly developed this point by evaluating how significant the point is, using information, explaining the consequences, and supporting the point. Demonstration of technical knowledge alone or explanation of the theory did not score marks in this exam. Weaker candidates are often reproduce the information taken from the exhibit. Reproducing, copy pasting again and again, the examiner is yelling around. And this is what we guys are doing. Those who failed last attempt, They have contacted me many times that, sir, what I used to do, I used to copy paste my answer. Wrong approach. Let's move to the professional marks. One of the most important things. Many candidates had clearly thought about professional marks and attempted to present their answer in an appropriate format as requested in each task requirement. However, there are many instances where candidate paid no attention to the format required. This often seen in question number 2A, which should have been presented in report format. However, many candidates failed to do so and therefore did not score well in the professional marks. Now, see, I told you last time there are 5 skills, but you will not be gaining marks on those 5 skills just by showcasing those skills. You have to show those marks, you have to show those 5 skills, you have to showcase those 5 skills under the formats that are being required. Similarly, the question which required a briefing note format were often presented in an easy form, in an essay format with no header or structured paragraph to suggest a briefing note layout. Formats you have to ratify, you have to rote learn. Whatever the formats requested, the recipients will be helped by an answer that is presented and structured clearly, with headers throughout the answer and which avoid overloading paragraph and repetitive information. There were several common faults. Failing to, now this is important, failing to demonstrate understanding of the charitable focus of the BCO. So you have to have, whenever you are writing the answer of BCO company, make sure that your brain is thinking about charitable focus, not paying attention to the format required, not considering who was receiving the document, 4 ways approach, who was receiving the document, failing to address the CEO in the question. Number 3. Now, question number 3 relates to, now remember, whenever I say something, I make sure I say it appropriately. You have to write question number 3 to the CEO of the company, right? Now, you were being told by the CFO to write a question to the CEO, to write a report to the CEO of the company. Now, that is the reason why I asked you, whom will you be reporting to? Now, do you get the answer? Whom will you be reporting to? You will be reporting to the CEO of the company. You will be addressing your answer to the CEO of the company. Remember, this is one of the most important blunders that will help you in failing. And if you cope up with them, you'll clear your exam. Do you get what I'm trying to explain right now? I need an answer. I know it has been 4 hours, around 3 hours right now. But do you get what I'm trying to explain in front of you? Yes, please. I hope so. You are getting what I mean to say. Great. Let's move forward. Now, failing to produce a balanced answer, for example, failing to discuss both financial and non-financial. Obviously, if you are more inclined towards financial, or you feel that you can write financial very well, this does not mean that you are going to get 100% marks on just writing the financial answer. You have to at any cost write the, you have to maintain a balance between the financial and non-financial system. Poor tone and comment made, for example, making inappropriate judgment and challenge of the option of the chairperson and the CEO in question number 3. That is skepticism. Candidates should remember that they are carrying a professional task that is a particular purpose for the norm. We don't need to go through it. Or let it be computer-based exam. It says that there is no general difference between the two. Okay, so let us go for the specific one-on-one requirement. See, now, and this is the question which I told you guys is the most easiest one, right? This is the question which I told you guys is the most easiest. Generally, this task was reasonably well done in terms of technical skills. Stronger candidate answered the question very well in a clear and a well-structured briefing note, demonstrating a sound understanding of the governance arrangement of the BCO. In particular, part number 1 and part number 2 were well answered, with stronger candidate demonstrating sound application of knowledge and understanding the public sector governance and board structure of BCO. Importantly, most answers did correctly focus on the specific circumstances of the BCO as a charitable organization. However, part 3, this means how BCO mission and strategic object. Now, this is a question which I have done in my regular class number 1, right in my first day. I remember first class is always where I teach about mission statement, about vision statement. In fact, I remember the example as well. I always give the example of Nestle's mission statement, Unilever's Fruit Vitals, vitality to life. Now look at this. Over here he's saying, sorry, I have read. However, in part 3 was less well answered as many candidates struggle to relate the strategic objective and mission of the BCO to its stakeholders' need. Now, had it been clear to you all that what is the difference between strategic objective and the mission statement, you would have made a good answer. Stronger candidates were able to correctly identify the BCO's key stakeholder and how their need should would be met by its mission and strategic objective. Key weakness included presenting a generic explanation of the principal-agent relationship in part 1, with no attempt to apply this specific relationship with the nature of the BCO. As stated earlier, textbook definition are awarded little credit in SBL. A lack of focus on the advantages of two-tier board. You have to give advantages. You do not need to explain two-tier board. Instead, focusing on general governance issues such as balance and makeup of the board of trustees and committee structure. Restating the mission and strategic objective in part 3 without any real attempt to consider how stakeholder needs were met. Undertaking the stakeholders analysis in part 3 in terms of the power and interest level, which failed to answer the question that had been set. To score high professional mark, candidate needed to demonstrate commercial acumen and understanding relevant governance issues relating to specifically to the charitable organization. There was some correlation between technical and professional mark for this requirement. Let's move to the second part. The overall standard answer of this question, we don't need to read this out. I'm just going through the stronger candidates. Stronger candidates were able to gain high credit on this requirement as they attempted to consider the reason and implication of the result. Stronger candidates also linked the finding of the result of information contained in other exhibits. For example, the recession mentioned in exhibit number 5 was linked to the reduction in the visitors number, as visitor may be reluctant to spend their money on visiting attraction park. Also, candidates who scored well on this requirement did so because they presented balanced answer which considered both the financial result, and obviously there should be a balanced answer between the two. What are the weakness? Merely stating the number had increased or decreased with no attempt to discuss this. Providing limiting financial analysis. If you are not providing good ratio analysis, this will help you in losing your marks. Some candidate made inappropriate, poorly justified comments or associations between their findings. For example, several candidates assumed that volunteering number increasing was good thing purely because they could have straight replacement for the staff paid off. This is where we have also talked about when I was reading the question. Some candidate made naive or poorly considered comments which did not show sound commercial judgment. This obviously is the answer. Many candidate now. This is something which I told you. Many candidate answered the requirement very well. Most answers were very well structured using pestle. Now, many of the candidates, when they are studying from me, they keep on asking, sir, is it relevant to apply a model? Is it relevant to apply a model? See, in this SBL question, I can show you. Prepare a report of CFO that which evaluate the extent to which external environment. I told you the external environment could be of two different models, either opportunity or threat or pestle analysis. And obviously over here, pestle analysis was very well to go with. Now, political, economical, social, technological. Now, this is a model that was easily applicable in this requirement. Candidates keep on asking me, sir, do we need to remember these models? Can it be a generic question? See in front of you, the examiner is saying, this is not my word. These are not my words. These are not my comments. In fact, these are the comments of examiner. Which was the most appropriate approach to take. However, candidate who did not use pestle but still consider a wide range of appropriate and relevant external environment factors were awarded the same level of credit. Stronger candidates were able to demonstrate under. Now, remember, uh, I guess in my last class, someone asked me, "Sir, what if we do not use the pestle model and write generic answer? So will it be wrong or will we score less mark?" Always remember one thing. I can relate this thing to one of my favorite bowlers in cricket industry, that is Shoaib Akhtar. Whenever you are playing in front of Shoaib Akhtar, it was the comments presented by one of the biggest cricketers of Australian company as well, of Australian cricket team as well. And he said that whenever we are playing against Shoaib Akhtar, it is necessary to wear helmet. Remember, whenever you are playing against the examiner, these models are basically the helmets that will protect you against gaining some generic mark. See, yes, you can write well, but why to take risk when you can use good models? This is just a helmet that in case you do not know what model to write, you do not know what to write when you're going for a generic answer, then you know that okay, now if I would have remembered that model, I would have given a better answer. So rather than failing your exam on 49, let's pass it on 51%. Right? Uh, so let's move forward. It says pestle, but still did not consider a wide range of candidates. Over here, it says that you need to focus on the pestle model, and if you write it using pestle model, you'll feel more comfortable in it. Key weaknesses included failure. Let me insert charger of my laptop. Just a minute, please. I hope so. You are not getting bored and you are understanding the specific requirement of the question so that you feel more comfortable. I have been speaking for more than 3 hours right now. Okay, so weaker candidate, they failed to focus on the external environment, presenting generic answer which did not focus on the impact, no reference made at all with the impact on the external environment, incomplete answer, which obviously incomplete answer will not give you credit. Candidate who scored professional marks quite well or very well did so by clearly appraising the fact and finding from the exhibit material relating to the question directly. Prepare a presentation slide. Most of the candidate must have done the answer to the presentation slide very well. Obviously, this is something which is very easy. But let's just quickly go through the weaknesses. I know we are short of time and we have already it's 12 o'clock. So 12 a.m. So let's move forward. Key weaknesses included poor structure, a lack of understanding of key business technology. Remember, go through my YouTube video. I'll share it once again and go through that lecture. It will take 3 hours, but trust me, it's wonderfully done. Discussion of technologies that had been learned but were still not applicable or not appropriate in this context. Lack of justification. Obviously, if you lack justification, you will not be gaining good marks. Key weaknesses of question number 3. Let me see what the question number 3 says. Prepare a confidential report that evaluate the BCO's current risk register. Yes. Answers which went little further than to say that the risk register was adequate and not adequate, with little or no elaboration on the explanation of the conclusion. People, what they did, they were more focused on if the risk register is good or bad, rather than focusing on what is bad, failing to consider at all the comments made by the chairperson and the CEO of the company, spending too long discussing issues such as risk ownership or trying to apply the TARA model framework. You tried, see, candidates, students sitting in front of me, you all should be very happy that I made you guys do TARA model in our previous classes. So risk register, spending too long discussing issues such as risk ownership or trying to apply Tara model framework, although it was not necessary to apply Tara model framework over here. The permeable to the question clearly set out the focus of the answer, meaning that these other issues were merely a distraction. Spending too long discussing other risks that should be included, which were not significant enough or relevant to be included in the risk register. For example, foreign exchange risk or the retirement of the founder. Many candidates achieved low professional marks on this, although they demonstrated professional skills. Now, in the last question, you are going to prepare the briefing note. And in briefing note, what are the key weaknesses? Or you can always revert back to the examiner comment personally and you can go back and see it. Describing the roles of the directors individually. In part one, were not allowed to, you were not asked to go describe the roles of the director. Failure to consider the need of the stakeholders of the BCO company. A failure to reflect on whether the board of trustees as a whole reflected the wide spectrum of the BCO stakeholders and not recognizing the part two of the answer was asking for a CPD. Send us this report as well. Yes, I'll try to send you all this report. Where you can download it from your Google accounts. You can easily get it from there. So I hope so. Okay, I just need 2 more minutes from you all. I hope so that I have made each and every point to be very clear to you all. See, I kept this 2 days workshop relating to past paper just for the sake of you guys, so that majority of you can be facilitated. I hope so. Many of you who were not able to attend classes, they will get recording at the end of the day, and they will be facilitated in terms of recording. Now I have announced this 5 days workshop. I will be sharing this workshop course with you all. The most important part of this 5 days workshop is the 2 mock exam. I have tried keeping the financial price of this workshop to be very nominal. It's just a small investment that you need to do because there is no such thing as free lunch in an economy. So just for the sake of helping you guys, I have kept this 5 days workshop, and trust me over the fact, you all have seen my commitment. You all have seen my way of teaching. You all must have studied from different resources and different prestigious institutes and different facilitators. But my way of working is rigorous practice and rigorous focus on students' uh, vision and character. So just keep on. And at the end of the day, my reward for this workshop that I've already conducted with you guys is a good review or a bad review, whatever you feel like. A review on the group that we have created so that majority of you can, or the other individuals can also be facilitated. I will not be taking much time of yours today. Thank you so much for always trusting me and for always loving me to such a great extent, and for always giving me this respect so that I keep on doing or keep on helping my students in the near future. Now, this workshop will start after 4 days, so I request you all to kindly register yourself for this workshop. And I hope to see you all those who wish to come for this workshop for face-to-face classes. You can always join Tabani School of Academy, the Tabani School of Accountancy, PCHS campus, and all those who want to join this workshop in the hybrid model, that is online model, you are also welcome with the same gesture. So thank you so much. I just need a review from you all on my WhatsApp group so that I also feel motivated. Thank you so much. I hope so you all enjoyed. Till then, keep praying on for your own self and for me as well. Take care.